Hey viewers, what's going on? Blue Monsoon here, and welcome back to an episode of Weapon Weekly. Now, again, this one is a little bit late, pretty much the same reason as last week. I am, though, trying to think of some schedule redos. The problem with this series is the fact that it takes a surprising amount of work to do. It's not just the fact of getting gameplay, it's getting good gameplay that shows off what I'm talking about, and it's also doing research on the weapon, getting all this done, and finalising it into a good, sort of solid idea. And the biggest problem with this is it takes so much more time than you'd expect. And the other problem as well is this series isn't getting too many views. You know, I will admit my channel isn't solely built off players who play Battlefield. A lot of you guys do play other games and just like this channel from what I do, which I do respect you for, and I'm very glad you have chosen to subscribe. But I will in fact probably be ending this series unless suddenly it picks up out of nowhere or some stuff happens, meaning that it's become popular, or you know, it's seriously the most popular, best show on my channel. But the chances of that actually happening are very slim, so I'll probably be ending this series and replacing it with something called Battlefield Weekly. Now, it depends if I'll actually keep that title. That's just sort of a project name I have for it. What it'll actually be is just a weekly update of all the information that has just been released on Battlefield. Probably I'll end up calling the videos just the topic of the biggest, it's the biggest topic, like new updates to Battlefield Hardline, new DLC announced to Battlefield Hardline that wasn't originally announced with the premium release, and whole stuff like that. Or I might in fact title it Battlefield Weekly, and then have a bunch of ideas, a bunch of topics written in the title. I'll think about a couple of designs, I'll talk to some people, and I'll see who eventually comes out as the best option. And to eventually finish up talking about this series, I'm actually really glad with how this happened. At the new year I decided to do a complete channel redesign, and that went pretty well, and I did a bunch of new series, and I managed to keep going for quite a bit of time without too many problems. Something I'm very proud of, and a lot of people say that they enjoy the challenge field, and a lot of people say they enjoy loadout, but Weapon Weekly is sort of one of those ones that, unless you play the game, you don't have too much an interest in, and even then, if you do play it, I can understand why people don't have too much an interest in it, so that's why I'm going to do this for the end of reasoning. But now we'll get straight into this video. And now for this possible last episode of Weapon Weekly, I decided to do a weapon that I'm pretty fond of, and it's actually pretty popular in the community. The weapon I'm using is the M240B. Now the rate of fire for this weapon is 650 rounds per minute, which is sort of middle ground for LMGs. That's pretty slow if you compare it to SMGs, carbines, and assault rifles. But the damage stats is where it really picks up. It's a 33 maximum damage, a 25 minimum, which even for LMGs, that's pretty good. That's within the top tier. There are two other guns that equal that, which is the M60E4 and the PKP Pension Egg, which are both very good, very high damage dealing weapons. Pretty similar to this one, in fact. Now the recoil for this weapon, the recoil stats at least, are pretty weird. The upwards recoil is 0.6, which is pretty bad. That's at the bottom of the list. 0.5 left, which is at the bottom of the list again, and 0.5 right, which is at the bottom of the list again. Now these are pretty bad, but they don't really translate in the game all too badly. They are actually pretty good if you can pick the right stuff. Occasionally though you can end up picking a wrong attachment that just absolutely does the gun over and just does not help at all. And now the reloads for this weapon, which for LMGs are always going to be bad, is 6.2 empty and left. This gun is weird with the fact you don't actually need to cock any bullets into it. The way it is, it automatically feeds bullets, and it's smartly designed so that that can happen. Now that's a very weird thing. I've never seen a gun like that before, but it does actually help because it means you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, I've only got say 30 rounds left, I better reload now, otherwise I'll have to go through the long reload. It's just the same as the other one. You can easily get rid of those 30 rounds and just have a long reload, but of course there are other advantages to reloading at that point. Now definitely when you use this weapon you will easily understand it is not a close quarters weapon. 600 rounds per minute, heavy damage, it is not designed for that. Also this gun is extremely long. This is a very big gun. If you look at a picture of this weapon, the distance between where the bullets feed in and the end of the barrel is incredible. Which obviously means this weapon is going to be best at long range, right? Wrong. This weapon in fact for me is best at medium range. It's nothing like an M16 or an H23. and it's definitely not a one-on-one weapon. You'll definitely do best with this weapon at medium range, but then how should you play with it? This weapon is not a dominant weapon. You can't run about shooting countless enemies with pinpoint accuracy. What's best to do with this weapon is to, if you get a good spot, is to find an enemy, crouch down, shoot, and then fire. Or at least, if you're going to be moving, move very small distances and make sure to burst fire and stop moving when you shoot. Otherwise, this weapon is going to have very bad recoil. You can see in some of these clips, I'm just tearing people up when I'm able to get a good, accurate shot on them and put rounds down range. Another thing you don't want to be doing with this weapon is you don't want to be going headlong at enemies. The fact it has a very slow rate of fire, it does not help you with that. Like I said, you want to go for good medium range shots where you're able to keep quiet and keep it a good distance. Also, don't forget to crouch down and help your aiming. Now, this weapon is kind of effective with the suppressor. I say kind of because I did definitely notice changes. With the suppressor, the weapon does have less recoil, but it is in some cases less accurate. But without a suppressor, it is very accurate. But occasionally you do get spotted. I say occasionally because sometimes players don't look at the minimap at all, which honestly you always should. That's a good key feature to learn. Now, this weapon, like I said, it is most effective at medium range. Now, one of the things that I did actually change in Battlefield recently was some new HUD options came available. Not just HUD options, a bunch of stuff. One of the things that also changed was the size of the reticle you could have. Just here you can see I have a very, very small reticle. This is as small as it can go. Now, you might be thinking, God, I can barely see that. If you have a good size monitor and you sit at the good distance where you can still see it, this reticle is dominant. All you have to do is go in, put it to the smallest size, which should be 50%. That's half of what it used to be, obviously. I've got mine set to green just because I like the way it looks and I can see it clearly. And you will dominate. Not perfectly, as you know, some sites are a little bit messed up. But for the red dot sight, I find it is very good. It's a very small reticle that doesn't really move and also gives you a perfect little pinpoint dot to aim for. So if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments. This probably will be the last episode of Weapon Weekly, seeing as Battlefield Hardline is only 1 week away. So until then guys, my name is BinMonsoon. I'll see you next time guys. It's BinMonsoon, out.